Okay, I am really going to have to start this off just like this. Those protests are fake. So, number one, I am going to be talking about Renee Nicole Good, the 37-year-old young lady that was shot by ICE in Minneapolis. We need to go over that because a lot of people got the first clip and it was on. All the protest was on, all the battle was on. But wait a minute. What did we learn from George Floyd? Let's talk about it. I also want to hit on how did the clips unfold in the media? Because it was the same thing that happened with George Floyd. If we wasn't learning, we just wasn't learning. And again, everybody falls into the trap. And the trap at the end of the day becomes distraction and distortion. Let's talk about this also. When you speak up as a black person, whether you are a black man or a black woman, you will have other people, black people, that will say you are giving black people a bad name. I'm going to go over that today because is it that you're giving black people a bad name? Or is it that there are some black people, like any other race, have horrible character and they don't want to deal with it? And when black people speak up, all of a sudden you are giving them a bad name. Or are they giving black people a bad name? Let's talk about that on TCLN this episode. Also want to tap into Venezuela a little bit this week. So you all know that the president of Venezuela have been captured and you're hearing all the headlines about him. But I want to say something, and I just want to ask you something very, very simple. Do you really feel that the United States of America is any different from that Venezuela president? Do you really believe that? If you do, you may need to do a little bit more research. You may need to understand history a little bit more, and you may need to open up your understanding just a little bit more to what's happening in our nation and abroad. This is TCLN Network, and I am IBK, and welcome in. I do news commentary, but I like to do it from an educational standpoint, right? There's a lot going on in our world, and some people are outraged, some people are angered, some people got a lot of information, but it doesn't have clarity. Some people just want a lot of chaos, but then there are those of you who don't want chaos. You just want the simple facts and some simple perspectives and some solutions that help move us forward. Fake. Yep, they fake. Now, when I used to listen to people on YouTube say that, I used to say, well, they're just going to say that that stuff didn't happen to people and that everybody's faking and everybody's lying. Well, I'm not in particularly saying that the events are happening or they're not happening. I'm a firm believer that if I was not there and I did not see it, I can only go by what people tell me. That's all I can go by and kind of make the best judgment from there. Now, I don't know how you think about it, but that's how I go. I know I'm not all powerful, all seeing, and I'm all over the place at all time and can see everything going on. So in order for me to keep my judgment and sanity intact, I have to understand this one principle that works for me. If I was not there, I do not know. And the only thing I can go by is what I am presented with. Now, let me explain to you why I am saying that these protests are fake. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're talking ruthlessly and people are dying and all these things are happening, right? And then I have to get back to my judgment and I have to say, well, I wasn't there and they was not either. That's why I say people need to be careful what they say. But let me explain to you why I feel that these protests are fake. And I am not going to sugarcoat it. If anybody know me, let's put the title aside, TCLN Network, and let's talk about IBK. IBK does not play, honey. When I know that I am telling the truth, there is nothing you can do to sway my mind. No manipulation, no psychology, no none of that crap. Go sit down because the truth is the truth and we experience the truth just like we experience deception and falsehood. So let me give you an example. Yesterday I was riding the bus in this city. I'm in Austin, as you know, and I'm riding the bus. I'm finna go pick up me a bite to eat. And next thing you know, I see the protest out there. I see the protest with ICE and what happened with the young lady. So I won't quote her name wrong, Renee Good. So again, her name is Renee Nicole Good. So anyway, what happened with her, right? Now, mind you, I saw it just like everybody else when they first hit the media. But I've learned over time, do not go by the first clip. I learned that by George Floyd. Just don't do it. I also learned that by other video clips and other experiences that I've had. And plus, you all know, if you heard me in my channel, I've been in Hollywood 8 years. So a lot of people think Hollywood is fake. Let me tell you something about Hollywood, honey. Hollywood lets you know right up in your face that this is a movie. The problem with society, when they are faking with you on camera, they do not tell you that it's a movie. They want you to think it's real. So know the difference between Hollywood and your world that is giving you a persona on camera, and it's nothing but a movie, but they're not telling you the truth because they want you to think it's real. So let's get to the point. So I'm riding, and all of a sudden, guys, what do I see? These people standing out there, right? It's in the early of the day. I also, when I saw the news a little bit later, I saw some in the evening too. But I wasn't there for that. I was at the one during the day. Now, of course, they're not going to show me on their medias, on their cameras, because they're creating this persona all across the United States of America that they're protesting. They're protesting these old brutal guys, these old brutal ICE cops. Well, let me tell you how I know they are faking. Guys, you know I made an episode last week about ICE and about my situation and my background and what is going on with ICE. You also know I made a video, guys, about what I went through with police officers. That's how I even found out in the first place. So it's been about close to a month now, about right around where they're protesting at City Hall. Hey, during this time, guys, it was during this time I was on my way to come film. And it was literally at 11 something as I'm walking from the City Hall area right there on Lavaca. Police stopped me because what happened is the police were going down the street and I was coming up the street. So I was going to go catch my bus. So I'm coming, they coming, and we're coming head on. But they're on bikes, guys. So what I do is I step off. So you know how the roads are built in certain cities? You have what's called the biker place right there. So you have the biker place, you have the sidewalk, then you have the biker place, and then you have what's called the road where the cars are going. Well, I step off in the biker area because, well, duh, probably where they supposed to be in the biker area, but they're on the sidewalk. And so that's where we supposed to be. So as they're coming down, it's tight right there because you have like buses, you have people all around. So what I do is I just kind of you just kind of step off so you can let people go by and then you step back on. That's the intention, right? So, but before I could step back on, they circle around me and then they being like all cocky or whatever. I knew deep down inside it had nothing to do with me being on the sidewalk. You walking in the street. Number one, I wasn't in the street. I stepped off so you guys can do your thing. So it escalated because they started lying, saying I had a weapon. And I was like, guys, I don't have a weapon. They kept asking me for my ID. I kept trying to get it out of my backpack on the ground. They kept saying a weapon. And so I started like getting nervous because I'm like, guys, why would you be saying that I have a weapon and you asked me for ID and I'm going to get this ID? So I tell them I'm going to record you guys. You guys are acting like this. You're doing what you're doing and I need to record you. And so, but anyway, it escalates or whatever. They take my little hands. One of the cops say, you can record now. And as soon as I push my record button, because I had it going twice. Once when I was looking and it cut off. So when we were on the other side, I had to do it again. He said, you can record now. And as soon as I did, he threw it down, claiming that I was resisting arrest, all this kind of stuff, right? And guys, if you know anything about Austin, up and down Lavaca, it is very busy. You have hotels, you have restaurants right there. Do you understand? It is so busy right there. Right there by the DeSano pizza place. So if you know what that's at, anybody in Austin, you know it's very busy right there. So they take my hands and they are hollering and they're lying. My hands are behind my back. Well, first they have them up like this and I'm like, what are you doing? You're resisting arrest. You're resisting arrest. So they throw me down on the ground. They got my hands all behind my back. I'm being still because at this time I've watched enough stuff where they taught us, guys, don't fight back. Don't do any of that stuff. Just do what you need to do. So I knew not to fight back. back. So my hands are behind my back. I can't even move. He busting his knee and his thing all across my head, they body all across my head on the ground and everything. And they're basically just abusing me, right? And so he's hollering and he's lying. And he's saying, you're resisting, I said, sir, I'm not even doing nothing. My hands are right here behind my back. Now, mind you, everybody in this city standing there watching. Again, you have restaurants right there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right here. You have hotels. You have everything. Everybody's standing there watching. You know what people did? They did nothing. They did nothing. Now, I'm not the crybaby whining type because I've had to walk through this life almost 50 years. Everything I've had to do for me. I couldn't knock on people's door and say, can you come help me out? No, every setup they tried to do to me, every case they tried to pin on me, every lie that they've ever tried to tell on me, everything that I've ever been through, I had no one to help me. I had to go through it myself. I had to go stand before judges and say, hey, you know these people are lying. They out here harming people. I've had to go do these things myself. So it's not like I needed your crybaby help. I didn't. Do you understand that? That's why I go to court. That's why I handle it. That's why I deal with it. Because I am such a woman that I haven't had help from people. And I've had to do it myself. You understand what I'm saying? Every letter, when I seen somebody go through something very horrible, I wrote the city of Dallas when the woman died in the shelter unjustly. And they froze her because they were freezing the people during winter with the big fans. I wrote the city, and then I turned around and got targeted. I wasn't knocking and protesting, please stand with me, please help me. So I've never been that because these people don't do that for you. They're happy that you're down. They're happy that you're being targeted. And so the reason why I say that, I'm saying it because nobody cared. Nobody said nothing. Everybody watched. People see it all the time. It came out in the George Floyd taping. Listen, the people who act like they was protesting all over the city, guys, get real. When they showed the George Floyd court footage during the time that happened, guys, if you were paying attention and you're not one of those people that you race bait and you act silly and you just want to believe what you want to believe just to have a side, just to vent your anger, and you want the truth, or at least you want to see the truth. You understand what I'm saying, for what it is? You guys know that when the court footage came out, nobody was protesting. Nobody cared. Everybody was in the little store and the restaurant getting their food. People walked out, looked, walked off. Nobody cared. Also, they showed you city footage, surveillance, just regular rolling footage. People across the street pumping their gas, getting in their cars, driving off. No one cared. And when they got time for their actors to get up there, that's when they did it. The reason why we say that they are actors, because remember when the so-called friends got on the stage and they did all the hyperbole. Guys, you know better. Because in the court footage, the media footage was totally different from the court footage. You see, the media footage showed you the knee on the neck, the knee on the neck, the knee on the neck. Everybody, woo, woo, woo. What they didn't show you until the court footage, I know because I was in Chicago. I was in the dead center watching everything. I watched all the court footage. I studied it and everything. What they did not show us in the media is that there were 3 officers on the body, one at the neck, on the knee, one at the torso, and then one at the feet. We didn't see that till all the court footage came out, right? Also, the friends, the so-called fake friends who was on the stage acting like they cared about him so much. Now, remember when they showed you that it was 3 people on the body and that fake friend was over there talking about, I'm trying to help you, man. Get up, man. Get up, George. When he was around of the police cars where he could see, we could only see at an angle when they kept showing it in the media. But when they showed all the footage and they brought it to court, he's around there with George Floyd, 3 people on the body. Please explain how he gonna get up. Please explain how, even with a knee on your neck, you know what I'm saying? But please explain how this man gonna get up. So that means that the so-called friend saw these 3 officers on the body and he's faking. Why was he faking? Because they also showed a police's surveillance from when this same fake friend was over there in the police's face off to the side saying, I'm trying to help y'all, man. I'm trying to help y'all. Faking. The officer was a Caucasian guy. And trust me, he was not impressed. He was just sitting there like, he wasn't even looking at him. He was like doing his thing. So people, so much came out. And if you were paying attention to it, it gave you so many pieces of the puzzle. So all of the people in the uproar. Same thing with this young lady with ICE. Do you understand that? All of the states in the uproar. Now, I'm going to show you 3 video clips, or as many as I can. And guys, when the first clip came out, it was what they told us. Me, myself, I've learned so much over this time. I know not to jump, but I know that there are people who jump, right? And for good reasons. People got so much anger built up. People got so much stuff built up. They just need a release valve. So they just want to go crazy, wow, People just need that, right? Instead of just saying, nope, let me go find what other footage they got. Let's look at another angle. Let's see what the story is. We don't have the story yet. They just showing us clips, right? So we all know that more and more of these clips have came out. We know that, right? And it is sad that people will sit in these cities, watch people be beaten by cops, watch people get falsely accused because they're trying to achieve something in life or they want to achieve something. Jealousy and envy kicks in. Police are used to target, and these people will do nothing. And they will get down there and act like they protesting against ICE. ICE is the police. They just a different branch or a different bracket. Just like your military, they have different branches, different brackets.
This clip is used for commentary, analysis, and education under Section 107 of the Copyright Act.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Whoa!
The new first-person clip comes as various angles of the incident have been analyzed by Americans around the country, dividing the nation as to whom to blame.
You can see the vehicle there. That's law enforcement pulling up in the pickup.
And it is the Honda Pilot that we should be focused on here. It's about a purplish, reddish color here. So let's take a look.
Agent walking up. And then there's another agent. I don't know if you can see that one right there.
Yeah, three agents involved. One was kind of closer to the front of the vehicle. The other kind of pulled on that driver's side door.
Barreling forward in what feds say was an attempt to mow down Agent Ross. He then quickly fired off 3 shots at Good.
So what's happening in other states like Florida? Protesters are being given stark warnings about the consequences of demonstrations turning violent. The Republican governor is giving drivers the go-ahead to run down protesters if they feel threatened. And the sheriff of Brevard County warned of lethal force.
If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at.
Local lawmakers are now reacting to the ICE officer-involved shooting in Minneapolis. I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez with a look at what the leaders you elected have to say about this controversial situation.
How dare ICE and this administration label her a domestic terrorist? You want to know who's terrorizing our communities? ICE agents from Orlando to Minneapolis. That ICE agent needs to lose his job, be arrested and charged for the murder.
When Daddy beats you and says it's your fault, Daddy isn't trying to persuade you to believe a falsehood. Daddy is trying to persuade you not to believe anything at all. Trump's supporters are critically lacking in self-esteem.
Just like anything you work for, right? It's different things. Now, mind you, I'm not going to lie. When I saw that, y'all, I had no poster because I wasn't planning on doing that. I didn't even know they were going to be there. I had no poster. Let me show you this, guys. I had nothing. I was like, and then when I walked up, they was looking at me like, because they knew that they done that to me. And so I was asking everybody, where you get your posters from or your things? And so they was looking at me like, faking, right? And so I said, I don't care. I'm going to get a piece of pen. I'm going to get a paper. I'm going to get something. Guys, all I had was this. This is all I had, guys. I said they are lying. They are lying about ICE. I said they sat there and watched cops beat me, jump on me. They are lying. I have scars, pictures and scars that the attorneys have. They are lying. They are lying. And that's what I was saying at the little protest. And I know they're not going to put that on the camera and nothing like that, but it is true. And I asked the young man, and they probably are never going to show it. I had a little do-rag on my head, my little black do-rag, honey, looking all just, regular. And I asked the young man, I said, can I say something to your camera, please? And this is what I had to say. I said, listen, I can understand if people was out here protesting and they really cared. I said, but all of this is fake. It is fake. I said, because you sat right here in this city, right here in this town, at the same time that you're out here protesting, not the night protest that they did. If you go watch it, they did an evening, nighttime protest. I said, but right now, you guys, right at the same time, you watched in this city, the police in broad daylight in front of everybody perform their little ritual of jumping on somebody and lying on somebody saying that they had a weapon. And none of you guys did nothing. And you saw what happened and you were happy and you were gloating yourself in. Hey. Hi guys, quick update. Listen here. So I went to court, right? You guys been hearing what I've been talking about. Matter of fact, this is going to be a quick insert. So I went to court, right? And guys, like I said, I've been in Hollywood 8 years. I know film. We study images. We study certain things, certain terminology, certain technology. So if you're in filmmaking, you know what I'm talking about. You know when people are editing stuff. You know when people are doing what they're doing. I don't want to say too much. But I do want to say this. The attorney, we went in, and it happened so quick. So we went inside of there. And I'm waiting. It's a room full of people. And I'm sitting there, and the judge tells her something, and I really don't know what. But she walks back over. She said, okay, we done. And I'm like, okay, what happened? Because we didn't go to court. Like, we're supposed to be going to court for what these officers supposed to have done, right? So anyway, I go outside, and we go outside, and she's kind of like texting back and forth, this attorney, right? And so then she finally says, well, let me show you the footage that I do have. She said, I can only show you what we have for right now from what the people that was around that gave the footage, these so-called stores or whatever, these people that was around, right? So I said, okay, so we sit in there. I immediately spot the footage, immediately. And I said, because I carry a blanket around me, right? So I have a blanket around me when it's cold and stuff like that. I have my backpack. I keep all my stuff in there, stuff like that. And I immediately spot that they had altered the video. So they had the officer, instead of them, because they know the story, they know the truth about the officers coming up side by side, and me walking up, and to avoid the officer, I step into the runway where the little strips are on the thing, right? So if you've seen the videos, you've seen me explain it, right? And they actually altered this footage so much that, because I be at that corner all the time, guys. I'm always at that corner. Why? Because I come to film all the time, so I have to catch a certain bus all the time. I also may stop by a 7-Eleven. So I'll stop by, there's different buses that come right there, the 2, the 7, the 4, all of them. So I'll catch any one of them going that way where I can kind of turn off, and I'll stop at 7-Eleven, give me something to drink, and then I'll continue on, right? They alter the footage so much. And anybody who know me, of course, you know my circumstance. So you know that I only have so many pair of clothes, right? You guys know this. You know my story. I don't hide nothing from you. You know people was talking about me and my wig and my little bitty clothes, and don't nobody want to hear what I got to say, which is cool. Because I know personally me, my message is better than these clothes, better than this wig. So that couldn't intimidate me. All the insults, all the mess. So they went and took footage because they got so much footage of me up there. And they literally altered it. They made it look like the officer, they cut it to a point where they made it look like the officer was coming on this side of the street, on the side of me, and the other one was just riding down the street. So they got it clipped at that part, right? Which is totally untrue. They also got me looking like I stepped off and stepped in front of the officer, and that I was actually outside the bikers line. Like, these people so altered the footage, because I literally said, well, I didn't even wasn't in the street. I said this part is for the bikers, and that part is the street where the cars come. Now, you're not going to be no dummy walking out there with the cars and buses are coming, So, but there's a biker part right there. You can kind of quickly step off and come on. They literally altered this footage so much. And what they did is they made a match because my clothes I may have the same clothes or whatever. And they made a match to make it look like, okay, but they have two different clips, right? And so I immediately tell her, this is so false. This is such a lie. You understand? Like, these people think that we're so dumb and we can't see that they've altered this. She goes, well, here go the timestamp, and here go the thing. I said, ma'am, people be on the internet and they change timestamps and they change things. If people on the internet can do that, and you guys have high technology, how much more? I said, but this shows you. I even showed her. I said, do you know that in this video, the Black people are missing? I said, in one video it's showing Black people, and in another video is literally showing that it's got different people there, a white man standing there with some crutches, and then other people standing there of other races. I'm like, this is a mismatch. And she didn't know what to do. The guys, they had people sitting out there listening to me at the courtroom. We're aware of what people be doing to us. We're aware of people. And I told her, I said, are you aware that there have been a bunch of homeless men following me around? That you guys, I've reported over and over and over to these bus drivers, Metro, and all of this, that these people have been following me around. Are you aware of what's been going on? And some of the fights that have went on the bus and the stuff. And they try to act like they're not aware, which they are. They are aware. Because like I told you, I sat in that office 2 hours. They let a Black chick abuse me. They let her play like she had a mental problem and sat there and just abused. It didn't even faze me because I know the game. I know what people be doing. They want to provoke you so they can go back and lie on you, right? So I just sat there and let her do it. All the while, they're feeding her tuna. They're giving her little snacks. They're giving her little coffees and all of that stuff. And I'm watching it. And then they give her a little cell phone and all that kind of stuff, because I guess they give some of their clients cell phones. And I'm like, they're literally just doing this, right? They never say a word. They never tell her to sit down and quit. And I'm on my laptop, working on my laptop. She cursing. She's calling names. I do not respond the whole time. So all of these events going on, and I let her know. And I said, well, what's next? What do we do next? She said, well, they're going to move the court date to February to this. And I was like, but for what? Like, why are they dragging this out? You know what I'm saying? Well, we don't have footage and we just have this footage from an angle, this. And I'm like, really? I'm like, literally, people are going to sit there and just lie. And I was so honest with her. I said, you mean to tell me that people will go to that lengths to alter footage and to lie? I said, ma'am, do you know that I did not have time to pace? I said, because I was walking from the library to get on my bus. And I said, yes. I said, I pace like that. I said, that is me. I said, I wanted to not. I pace like that. I move like that because when I'm waiting on buses, it could be cold. It could be anything. And I'll kind of just pace back and forth, do my thing. Sometimes I'll stand still. Sometimes I'll pace, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like ready for these buses to come, right? And we're just out here. The streets are dirty and everything. I said, but on that day, the reason why I know that footage is a bold-faced lie, and they copied that footage from another day and they manipulated, I said, because I didn't have time to pace. I said, I didn't have time to pace. I didn't have time to go back and forth because I literally had just walking up and the incident happened. I didn't even get a chance to wait on the bus. I said, this clip is making it look like that I'm actually sitting here waiting on the bus pacing. I said, ma'am, that is an absolute lie. And she was like, oh, because we're right up there with the judges. We're right up there with the prosecutors, all these people sitting up, not in the courtroom, but on the outside of the courtroom. And it is so sad, guys. And it just made me and got me to thinking, how many people in this world have they done that to? Guys, we didn't have social back then. We didn't have AI. We didn't have none of this stuff. Half the knowledge we have today, we did not have. Can you imagine how many lives have been destroyed in the United States of America? How many people have been falsified because of this kind of incidents like this? So I just wanted to insert this and let you know. And I told her to her face, I said, now y'all got to go doctor the footage even more, because now you recognize and you're looking at me with pop eyes that it's all fake. This is totally fake. The only part you got is him throwing me down and doing all that. I said, but that footage is so far away that you can't even really see what is happening. But the one that y'all feigned, you got that one up close. I said, ma'am, I didn't even have time to pace right there. I didn't even have time to wait on the bus because the incident happened before I can even come to wait on the bus. That was the whole purpose of going to the bus stop, so I can wait on my bus and go do my filming that day. So it is amazing how people, and I want to tell you guys, be careful with all this footage out here, all this footage on these cameras, on these streets out here. These people are altering footage, literally altering footage from the days. If you're catching buses on a regular day, every day, they can go pull that footage and clip, match that footage and manipulate that footage, guys. But anyway, we'll see what's going to happen and see what's going to continue on. I got another court date for tomorrow because they pinned three fakes of these, just made up a whole bunch of lies. So I'll tell you how to go from there, and you guys have a blessed one. And I just wanted to insert that in. So that's a little update, okay? Be blessed, guys. And for the people who said, we don't care, we ain't trying to help her. Do you notice one thing about my life? I never asked you to. I, just like I'm talking now, it's just like I was talking up there. No sugarcoating it. I help myself. I don't have to depend on you. You want to know why? Because the truth is, can you be honest with yourself? Can you be honest with yourself about pulling black cards? Can you ever name when you have ever helped me? Can you never ever named when you have ever been there for me? Can you ever named when you personally have ever done anything for me? I bet you I can name some stuff, and I bet you I got some proof, from volunteering, from Katrina to Rita to working in the system, making sure you got the resources you have, to all kinds of stuff. And that stuff you can't lie about, because if you go pull my record and pull my name, you ain't gonna do nothing but find the truth. But I want you guys to be blessed, just to know baby girl has always had to stand up, not just for herself, but for other people too. Have a great one. And it happens all the time. And I said the reason why I mention it is because when real things are happening to people, real things, real people being abused, real people being harmed, people are not doing nothing. And all this fake protesting with signs out there, wee, and them signs ain't doing nothing. All that fake protesting, and people are really being harmed, things are really being done. Where does real justice stand in? When you giving the illusion of justice, you're giving the illusion of changes are happening, this is happening, but everybody's faking. Crisis actors, all kind of stuff. Where is the real change when people are actually going through real situations and they're thrown away? Nobody can help them. Nobody has a spotlight. It's happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No cameras are on. No protests are on. And because people are faking so much, giving this illusion that the world wants an uproar and the world wants a change, but then the world is propagating the very thing that it says that it wants change from. Isn't that sad, guys? Isn't that sad? I am so sorry that I had to open TCLN Network that way. But TCLN Network would not be TCLN Network if it did not tell the truth. If it did not take the events that I experienced, that I see other people experience, and don't put a filter on it and tell the truth, it wouldn't be what it is. And then it had me questioning myself, guys. I'm like, dang, I wanted to use news as something positive. So when I saw the events in the news, I can go take it and educate people. It had my head swimming off. I began to start thinking, well, hell, the news is fake. So how am I going to be educating people on fake stuff? You know, guys, I'm real with you. I'm like, if this stuff is fake, how am I going to be educating people on fake stuff? I said, I can't be doing that. And then I thought about it. I thought about it. I said, you know what? No matter what people are doing in our world, whether it's fake, whether they lying, whatever they doing, we still have things that we can learn from. We can learn from what the law says. We can learn from what policies say. We can learn from different people and what leaders are saying so we can help ourselves. No matter what, we can still learn. Even if it's nothing more than a freaking fakehood that is going on. We can still learn. So TCLN Network, Sweetheart, is here to stay. Because I recognize this one thing. I don't care if it's the real, the truth, the fake, the false, or whatever it is, we can still learn. So with that being said, let's move on to the next topic. Oh, and one more insert, guys, just one more. This is my birth certificate. This is real. Do you see this? You can't copy this, baby. This got the barcode, this got all of this, and this is my birth certificate. So you will see I was born at Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas, Texas. This is my birth certificate. I come for generations and generations of family. If you would see the name that they have on my birth certificate, as far as a mother, is Maxine Patillo. Now, that's actually my grandmother. So when she took us home, she kind of took us under her name. But my mother's name is Linda Louise Johnson. So they changed the birth certificate in the courts. Do you understand that? But I want you to understand this one thing. I'm going to put an insert in for you guys just so you can see just how much they lie on people's lives. Do you understand what I'm saying? These people faked and feigned that I was from Mexico and that I had entered into this country unlawfully. So when I was at court, and I forgot to say this part, I asked her, I said, are you going to ask the judge about that fake ICE case? You understand? Because ICE has never came to me. ICE has never bothered me. They've never came to me. How I found out about that case that they had, and it's dated, guys. Look at the dates on there. So you're going to see the insert. Look at the dates on there. Dude, I was in college when these people feigned this, but I had no idea that that was on me. When those cops did that and they took me down to the Austin police station, that's when it came out. And the lady said, well, she didn't have this. She had my pulled birth certificate. She said, I have it before me. She said, so that I felt that that was confusing. These people literally have feigned things on my name that I didn't even know that they had feigned. So you don't think that they would alter a daggone video too? You see, this is one of those old time birth certificates. You know what an old time birth certificate? Where it literally gives like what profession, where you work at, you understand what I'm saying? Like what street, all that kind of stuff. Like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. And this is real. This is not fake. Do you understand that? This is nowhere. This has the seal on it. And if you're able to, Texas birth certificates have certain seals when you put them under lights. So there's certain things that you can see. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can't feign this thing. So again, for people to do that, understand that this is real. That people, you want to know what I believe ICE is about? Let me be honest with you. There have been many cases pinned on people when it comes to ICE. I believe ICE is about transferring people and stealing things from people. I don't believe that all ICE is about that. I do believe that there is immigration going on. You guys, you can go back and look at the video. I made a video on ICE about immigration and who was actually in charge. So, Michael J. Garcia is Mexican. And a lot of people are saying that ICE is fighting against Mexicans. What people fail to realize is that when ICE first started, it was headshiped by Michael Garcia. He is a Mexican. And there has been more. This is what happens when people don't do research and they just like to lie. There have been more people deported. You understand what I'm saying? Through ICE, through Michael J. Garcia. Do you understand that? So more than Trump. And what people fail to realize is that, there are cases being feigned on people. And the question you would have to ask is, why are people lying on United States citizens, saying that they're from places that they're not, and transferring rights and stealing things from people? It could be land, property, it could be businesses, it could be all kind of stuff. There's a reason why that's happening. There's a reason why that case have those dates on it back from that many years ago. And if you read the document, you will see what it says on there. And so that means that that was a plot and that was a plan. That wasn't by accident. But people were planning on doing that at an appointed time, right? So guys, again, be aware. Just so you know, listen, and for all those Christians out there who had got mad about people speaking up about Christians abusing people and Christians harming people, and you were running around saying that our God is getting them and karma is coming on them because they're lying and they're this. Well, darling, you're wrong. You're wrong. And you didn't want to face the fact that people were being abused in churches. You didn't want to face the fact that people were going through harm and they were being hurt. Now you got people all over social media and you're seeing all this stuff come out. People being talked to bad behind money, all these wicked things that are going on. But these are the things that you guys had tried to hide throughout the years and sweep under the rug and act like it didn't happen. And you told so many lies on our lives to make it look like we were lying. Now, let me give you an example how you know just how false that was. Anytime you are dealing with the Creator and the true source, the Creator doesn't have to lie on your life to correct you. People will lie on your life just like this feigned documents, feigned stuff. But that doesn't mean that the Creator has to lie. The Creator knows how to correct you without lying on you and feigning stuff on you. So people like you all can go have a parade and lie on people's lives. So take that in consideration, okay? You guys have a good one. You give Black people a bad name. Woo, honey, let me take a breather. Let baby girl breathe. Back up off of me and let me breathe, okay? So, I was having a discussion, I was speaking, and a Black dude says, you give Black people a bad name. This is what I know for sure. If you go look at my name, I have such a unique name that no one else in the United States of America or the world has my entire name. The world. If they do now, they lying or they just named it or something like that, or it doesn't. The name is so unique. I was laughed at about that name. I was made fun about that name as a girl growing up. It was the worst name. I hated it. But during this time, like they say, honey, if there be a God, trust me, God was watching out for me years ahead. Because during this time of all of everything that is going on, of fake, what is that called? People pinning fake identity, people pinning fake ICE cases, people doing all the things that they are doing. Guys, with the name that I have and being the only one that names that name, it is easy to identify if someone has falsely used your name. Do you understand that? So if people wanted to research me and go find out, have I ever called the police on Black people? There is no record of me calling police on Black people. I've only called the police on one Black person in my lifetime. And I was a younger girl. I was 15, 16 years old. I was with a man that was dating me, and he was 40 something. And he was abusing me and misusing me. And I had to take measures for my life because something happened behind the scenes. I'm not going to put it all here. That's the only time. I've had fights with Black people. I had Black people jump on. I've had all kinds of stuff. And I've never tried to intentionally call any police officers, period, on them, period. I've gotten mad. I ain't gonna lie. And I told him, I said, all right, I'll call them laws and have your black tail locked up just like you was trying to get me locked up and throw it away and set me up. So, you know, we get mad, we say stuff, right? Because I'm honest. We go through that, right? But I've never, ever called the laws on these people, no matter what they done to me. But they got records and records of calling police on other Black people, setting them up, lying on them, feeling like they're their competitors. We got to keep you out, working with other races, up there lying in the media about other races, but up there behind closed doors, working with other races to do Black people over like they are nothing. And then you want to switch the psychology and say that somehow I give Black people a bad name. No, I and any other black don't give you a bad name. Your character gives you a bad name. And if anybody give black people a bad name, it's you. Your bad character, your bad behavior, it's you. You're lying all over the world about white people this and white people that, even though there are white people that do harm other people. We know this. We know it. We don't have to sing it like patty cake, patty cake, patty cake. We know it. There are other races that harm their own race. I seen a video clip the other day. A young lady from Japan. She said, and she's Japanese. She said people really believe that Japanese are nice people. She said they are not. She said I was raped by a Japanese dude. She said, and Japanese pretend to be nice to y'all face. She said, but they be doing stuff. So we all know this, right? Everybody knows this. Every race knows it. Everybody knows it. But when you get a black person that tells other black people you give black people a bad name, I don't think so. Your wicked character that you think is hidden, that you think people don't see, that you think people, just because people don't say nothing, sweetheart, mean that don't people see. People don't say nothing because they don't want a confrontation. People don't say nothing because they don't want to get involved. People don't say nothing because they don't want no conflict. People don't say nothing because they don't want to lose nothing. But that don't mean they don't see it. Your bad behavior, setting up other black people, sitting over there calling black people. You done took on the slave master's mentality. Everything that you told us that was slavery, you have taken it on, calling black people B's and H's, and you N-words, and you this and that. And F you ain't going nowhere in life. The slave mentality. And then you think you can just get up on these socials, in these medias, and pretend kumbaya with black people while you be behind closed doors with an iron fist beating other black people down and at many times killing other black people. And then you have the nerves to say that some black people give y'all a bad rep. And you think the world don't know? You think the world is stupid? Even Africa says that we see what y'all black people be doing. Even though they can't talk because they be over there doing it in Africa to their own folk, right? But instead of people taking responsibility, they have the nerve to say that someone is giving them a bad name. No one is giving you a bad name unless they are lying on you and lying on your character. You give yourself a bad name by being deceptive and harming people behind closed doors and destroying them and pretending that your hands wasn't in the pot. And you're always prophesying about what God is going to do with the white man. Well, can I ask you a question? And this is not for all blacks, because I know 1,000% all blacks don't have a disposition to be like that. But for the majority of you who do, what is God supposed to do about you if you were doing what you claim those white men were doing? So you say the white man was doing this and the white man was doing that and the white man was doing that. Sure, we know that. Everybody knows that. And so was other races. So what part of the prophecy do you skip? So God skip over you because you black? You did it to other black people and tried to destroy them. And so all of a sudden, God gonna skip over you because you black and get to the rest of the races because they're wrong. See, nobody gives you a bad name. You just don't want to handle the truth. You just don't want to take the time to change. Just like them people out there fakely protesting. What if you was really doing that when you really saw things happening? Real things happening. We ain't talking about fake things that are coerced. Real things happening. There would be real change by now. Real change, guys. If people was really doing it when real events was happening, not when ain't the cameras looking and nobody's looking. Instead of y'all mocking and laughing and happing that people down. Nobody's giving you a bad name. Bad character give a bad name. And you know what you people do? You get mad at what people like me have to say. And you be like, we're going to make them look like a hypocrite. We're going to make them look bad. We're going to try to provoke them, stoke them, make them look like the bad ones. Catch them on camera doing stuff. It's all good. Because at the end of the day, that's still bad character. If you got to go to all those lengths to make somebody look bad, it's called bad character. So nobody's making you look bad. It's just that you need to work on your character. Okay? And that's all I have to say about that. And then I'm going to jump into the next episode that you guys may want to join me at. I am, like I said, I have the TCLN Leadership Lens. And what I want to talk a little bit about is Jasmine Crockett. But I also want to end this episode. You're going to join me for the next episode for Jasmine Crockett. We're going to talk about that, right? But I want to end this episode by saying Venezuela, the capture of the Mexican president, or that particular president, whatever, Venezuelan, whatever he is. I am here to say there would be a time that we will believe what people just tell us, right? There would be a time that we would just believe what people would tell us, right? But sometimes we got to dig deeper and we got to ask more questions. We just can't always believe what people put in our face. Now, that doesn't mean we have to take interest to every single thing. Do you know that there are people out there that never wanted to watch the ICE thing that had to do with the lady, Miss Good? They just don't want their minds wrapped up into that. They don't want to see it. They shut it off and shut it down. They may go get them a cup of tea or a coffee, put on them some little classical music, read a book, snuggle up. Some people just don't want to be bothered by that kind of stuff, right? Don't mean that they don't care. They just don't want to let all that in. And then you got those of us who like to look at some of this stuff. But I'm here to say, guys, if we're going to look at it and we're going to talk about it, we have to stop lying. We can't just be lying all the time. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we can't just be making up stories for the sake of making up stories, for the sake of war, for the sake of fighting, for the sake of strifing. We got to do better. We got to. I do, you do, everybody do. We got to do better. And let me tell you something. I want to end this particular episode by saying this. The capture of that man and what all is being said about him. You know the record. I don't have to go over it. You guys know the news out there. He's this person, drug trafficking, all this stuff going on. He's this horrible president. Well, can I ask you something? Is the United States really different? And if they different, why did they legalize weed? Because we all know that weed is the gateway to all those freaking drugs in the first place. Weed, I don't care how you argue it, it's addictive. It's not healthy. And no, it's not natural. It's not natural, people. It's just not. It's chemicals on it. It's all kind of stuff on it. Well, it used to be anything that's taking you out of an altered state and messing with your mind and body and spirit like that and got you. No, I do not think that that's natural. The plant itself may be natural, just like the cocoa plant. It's natural until you alter its state. So how are we going to be any different when we drug trafficking over here? Through law, by legalizing it and then handing it to the public. If the public did not do right by it when it was illegal, what makes you think that the public is going to do right by it when it's so-called legal? So if we drug trafficking here, are they not drug trafficking? What makes us different if we don't set the standard? Oh, ours is just weed. No, it's drugs. Anything that alters you like that is drugs. It's drugs. And this country don't need no more drugs. So if you're going to go after somebody because you say that they drug trafficking, now mind you, the weed in the United States of America is not all grown in America. Some of it is imported. So if you want to talk about trafficking, it's just legal trafficking. So if we gonna have drugs all over the place here, you understand what I'm saying? How are we gonna look at those people and say they're any different? We have to set the standard before we can go messing with somebody else's country or somebody else's this. Or is it really about the oil? I did research the other day. And I said, let me just look up some titles about Venezuela. So I went to the AP. And I just typed in Venezuela. It has over 10,500 articles about Venezuela. And then I said, current Venezuela, Trump, everything going on with all of this. Lots of articles. I didn't even get into the articles. That's just too many articles to read. But what I did take notice of was the titles. And I looked at, not all the titles, but I looked at a lot of them, about 3 or 4 or 5 pages. You know how you keep clipping till you get to the page. And I'm just looking at each title. You know what a lot of those titles had to do with? The discussion of oil. Not of drugs, not of trafficking, none of any of that. Oil. Discussions about what that president was going to do concerning oil. Not concerning what he was going to do for his little drug problems that was going on. That's why, guys, we got to pay attention. We got to pay attention. I saw a clip, and it's been all over TikTok, and I don't know if you guys seen it, but they were talking to, it was some Latina guys or Mexicans or whatever at the border. And he said, no, no, no. He said, guys, he said, we are paid to build this wall. He said, Mexico agreed to build the wall. He said, because we are preparing for the collapse of the American dollar. He said, so when the dollar collapses, people want to run over here. I said, my God, these folks be telling the truth. We just don't be paying attention. He said, everybody going to want to run over here. He said, no, this is why we agreed to pay for the wall. And then he fell out laughing. Now, is it really all funny? To an extent. We need some release. We need some laughter. But is what's really happening to the American people really funny? No. Not deep down, not respective. And let me tell you why. I saw some more footage. This was a person in one of the further lands out there. I don't know if it's East. Definitely not Western culture. But this was an older guy, very, very wise, very astute. And he was talking about this years ago. And he was talking about how all the economies were going to be affected and how the American economy would be affected the most. He said because it's the American dollar. He said other nations, of course, will be affected. He said because they do trade or are they connected with the American dollar, however he was explaining it. He said, but he said things have changed and there are nations joining together and all this stuff is happening. And he said the people who are going to actually feel the impact the most, he said it's going to be the American people. He said because, and he also described it in terms of kingdoms or economies and stuff like that. He said because the economy is the American dollar. He said, and once that begins to collapse, and he was talking about this years ago. Now, fast forward. This man, and this wasn't AI, guys. These are real people. And this man is sitting up here saying, no. We're actually, Mexico, agreed to pay for the wall because they preparing for the American dollar to collapse. So I'm just saying all that to say, guys, that it's a lot going on. It's a lot of distraction. It's a lot of hocus pocus. Do you understand that? Hocus pocus, tokus nocus. Fake riots, fake this, fake that. But we really need to understand what's going on. I wish you guys well. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave me, if you're going to be watching by YouTube, if you did, please leave me some comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Know your thoughts about what you think about the protests and stuff like that. And just anything else you would like to comment on. Anything else that's on your heart that maybe you would like to share. If you're watching by Austin Public, you can also join me over there on YouTube, TCLN Network, right there on YouTube. I will put the handle right here so that you can see where to go join on YouTube at TCLN Network. You guys join me for the next episode where I am going to be discussing Miss Jasmine Crockett. And also I want to talk about what she had to say about the ICE shooting. And is she correct or not? She may be correct in theory, she may be correct in moral, but is she actually correct besides what events are actually happening, okay? So guys, thank you so much. This has been IBK, and it has been a pleasure to speak with you. And I hope you get where I'm really coming from.
Thank you for tuning in to TCLN Network, Austin Public. TCLN Network is independently produced by IBK Media Productions. To support TCLN Network financially, visit paypal.me/TCLN Network. Also, TCLN Channel Podcasts. To learn more about TCLN Network, visit thecreativeleadershipnetwork.com and follow on all socials, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at IBK Media Works.